This is so fudging intense. I love it. Hello everyone, my name's Lucifer, and welcome to Banebush. This is a visual novel about the horrors in the Russian forests. Or, horror stories in general in the Russian place. The entire game is designed to be designed by the authors and very red. Adjust saturation to your comfort level, reference the image above, or leave the setting to default. I will leave it to default. I like the saturation. Love the redness. Give me all that good redness. I see the red vignetting from my OBS. Oh, it's Babushka. She's here. Babushka Rita. Where silence reigns, unlike the noisy cities. In the darkness that swallows the light, and among the dense forests, near the village a secret hides. People whisper tales about a creature living in a dark forest. This is the story of Banebush, a mighty leshy. Ooh. Few have ever faced him directly. Was Geralt one of them? Because I do remember Geralt killing a leshy. Yet anyone stepping into the thicket feels his presence in every trembling leaf, in every creak of the trees. No, don't go, Grandma. Just because Granddad left doesn't mean you need to leave too. Beasts hide in the burrows, birds fall silent, and trees bow to the forest's master at the sound of his ancient roots moving. Everyone's blood runs cold in his presence. I don't see it. Oh, that's just a tall dude standing there. That's just William, you know William Tall Man? He's just standing there. He was feared more than any creature. That's why he is called the Banebush. I cannot make that sound cooler. I'm in grandma mode right now. Sometimes as you wander the forest, you hear creaks and cries. Those are restless souls still roaming among the oaks, seeking peace for their wrongs against the leshy. Seems a bit rude, if I do say so myself, Grandma. Oh, William Tallman's gone. For centuries, villagers passed down legends of Banebush, about how he drove travelers mad, leaving them lost in the forest, and his terrible deeds. Anyone who disrespected his realm faced his savage wrath and became food for worms among the ancient trees. Fuck! Okay. That's... Fear Banebush, child! Well, that's something to fear, alright. Oh my god. You need a lot of plastic surgery. And probably some mani-pedi. Or horny... Hoffy, I don't know. Horny hoofy. That's what the horn and hoof version of that is called. And if you meet him, run without looking back. And he goes away. He warbles away into the darkness. So what? He still roams our forests? Just listen. As I sip my tea, child. Backhand slap. During the bloody times of the patriotic war, our village fell on hard times. Bandits began raiding and tormenting the villagers. Did you say what? Did you say wanting motherfucking hangy? I don't know what hangy is, but you're all gonna get hanged by the leshy. That's pretty much gonna happen. The strong men who could have resisted the hooligans were taken to the front. Only boys and young lads were left with the girls. No one to defend the village, so those scoundrels ran amok. They took the last dishes, stripped our village to the bone. Only one brave boy decided to help the village. Oh. He ventured deep into the forest to find the Banebush. Our village was part of his domain, so he should protect it if properly asked. He was ready to do anything to drive those cursed outsiders from the village. Oh, you look like a creepy uncle who dresses up in the forest to do unsightly and ungodly things. For better or worse, they found the leshy. Do you talk in branch hoggenings? You know, the classic sound of hoggening. When you smash mahogany on the ground, hoggening. That's where it gets its name from. Obviously, you know, bang, crash, whoosh, hoggening, same sounds. No one knows the outcome of their meeting. Some say Banebush took the boy under his protection, turning him into a wild wolf. In his new form, the brave boy tore apart all the marauders. But others claim Banebush destroyed the poor boy to ensure no one disturbed his solitude. Again, rude, like I said. Oh. I find it hilarious the way he disappears into the background. Is it a Christmas tree in the back there? It's like a pine tree. It doesn't matter who thinks what. What matters is that neither the boy nor the marauders were ever seen again. Chapter 1. Interesting. Very interesting. I love like Russian and Finnish and Slavic, Nordic, like scary stories. They're really creepy. Oh, there's a mouse. They're very, very creepy. I do really want to play the one horror game in the Finnish forest. It's a popular game. I forgot the name of it. It's the one in the forest when light comes, like creepy things attack you. That one. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Why is it always in the Finnish and Russian forests? Why is it always in the Slavic forests? What did the Slavic forests do to you? I also really miss Tiny Bunny, a good visual novel. But I don't know if it's getting a part 4 anytime soon. In my childhood, Grandma told many stories. The ones about forest spirits and local folklore were my favorites. I will always remember her tales with warmth, as opposed to with cold. I especially loved the stories about the evil leshy, Banebush, who according to the legend lived in the nearby woods. I love the atmosphere and just the sounds in general. It's just so good. Grandpa often jokingly scared me, saying Banebush would come at night and drag me into the forest if I didn't dig in the garden or misbehaved. A frightening yet truly wonderful and carefree childhood in the city. I miss it. After Grandma's death, I inherited her house. Sometimes I feel ashamed that I didn't take care of it. I went once to handle the paperwork, but then never found the time. I'd like to sell it, but who wants an old ramshackle hut in the middle of nowhere? Don't sell it. When you're old and ramshackled, you'll want the ramshackly hut. You'll know. Who would have thought? But now, this house has become more useful than ever. It's no secret that getting involved in criminal schemes can lead to serious trouble. I didn't think it would happen to me this time. I can only hope that Fomin and his thugs won't find me here. Wasn't Fomin the name of the dude from Tiny Bunny, like one of the bully dudes? Or was it in an anime? I can't remember. To lose a package of bagged drugs weighing a couple of kilograms. Fucking awesome. Maybe the leshy would like to get drugged up, you know? A drugged up leshy. That sounds terrifying, honestly. It's like a cocaine bear, you know? I went to pick up the goods outside the city. Everything was calm and smooth. I arrived at the spot, dug up what I needed, and headed back along the same route. But on the way back, a car cut me off. Clearly, this didn't bode well. Before I could understand anything, I saw 3 hulking men stepping outside of a black car with tinted windows. What is this, a porno? Oh, not a porno. Of course, with a gun to your head, anyone would hand over the package of drugs without argument. My hide's worth more to me. I'm ready to swear this was a setup by Fomin. Either way, I'm in deep trouble. I know full well how couriers are treated in these situations. Back on the bus I go. Go to the police. What's the point? What would you tell them? That someone stole your drugs? Perfect. What a fairy tale life. I just hope no one knows where I am. I left most of my things in the city. There didn't seem to be a tail. I need to lay low. The journey to the village was quite long. Maybe there would be a chance to get a little more sleep on the way. That sounds good. I like a little more sleep. I like a good old little more sleep. I will say, because I do know that this game, the cool thing about this game is that your choices like make the story different, and then you understand the whole story by going through all the endings and the choices, and that gives you an idea of the full game. So I'm gonna save real quick. Righty here. It felt strange coming back here after so many years, as if I had been avoiding this place all along. During my absence, the village became completely abandoned. In my childhood, it seemed brighter, and there were more people. Now, there's almost no one left here, maybe a dozen old folk living out their days, and me running away from my problems. Well, I love this. I love the sounds, the music, it's good. I quickly found the road. In childhood, my neighbor friend and I often raced from my grandma's house to the bus stop. It seems this path is forever etched into my memory. The house looked old but stood sturdy despite years of loneliness. The roof sagged slightly but looked reliable. The paint had peeled off, revealing the wood darkened by time. Yeah, this house needs a long and expensive repairs. I'm afraid it'll cost more than the house itself. Look around or enter. I will save. Let's look around, why not? Get a gander of the outside. Ooh. After skirting the property a bit, I reached the backyard. On the crooked structure that once served as the base of a scarecrow, a raven sat motionless. Oh, I see it. I didn't see it before. I see it now. It is blinking. Creepy. It was frozen like a stone gargoyle and didn't flinch at my presence. With a tinge of sadness, I noted that the bird monotonously blinking its eyes was the only living soul I'd encountered since getting off the bus. The entire plot was a muddy plain washed out by recent rain. What a dump, I thought as I looked at it. There used to be a big garden here, tended with elderly persistence by Grandma and Grandpa. Wow, Grandpa actually left. That's sad. Everywhere grew fragrant mint and lemon balm, which Grandpa used to brew aromatic tea. I have hot water, so I guess you can call it plain tea. Flavorless tea. Looking at the remnants of my grandparents' once glorious garden, I realized it died when its owners passed away. Well, I'm the owner, so excuse you. Knife. I shifted my gaze to the old stump that, as I recalled, Grandpa used for chopping firewood. Looking closer, I noticed something sticking out of it. I walked closer. Knife. Approach the knife. An old rusty knife was stuck in the stump. I squatted and examined it closely. A couple of cracks in the darkened handle and a noticeably dulled blade in some places. Could it be useful to me out here in the wilderness? I mean, yes it would. I'm not yawning, okay? Shush. I pulled the knife out of the soaked wood and weighed it in my hand. It was lighter than it looked at first glance. It might come in handy. Yes, better to keep it with me. I didn't find anything else interesting around the house. Just dirt, boards, and dry overgrowth everywhere. I didn't want to linger outside any longer. Well, I'm going in. The door yielded to my efforts with a loud creak. The influx of air stirred the dust, making it swirl around the entire room. Everything looked as if time had stopped from the moment I was last here. Oh, that's fucking creepy. Well, let's take a look at the gas stove. That's probably the most important thing for survival. On the stove, covered in a thick layer of greasy dust, stood an old kettle, with worn spots on its body. Grandpa used it to brew fragrant morning tea for Grandma and me, made from carefully grown and harvested garden herbs, mint, lemon, balm, and/or oregano. You can put oregano in tea? I didn't know that. I remember during one of those tea times, Grandma was baking something delicious in the oven while telling me how Dad and Grandpa spent an entire day bringing the stove from a neighboring town. That was right after Grandma complained to Grandpa that her stone stove had cracked. At the time, gas was just being installed in the village, and the stove became a new wonder of technology for her, as she liked to say. Alright, TV time, gotta get some entertainment after some food. On the shelf stood an old TV with a large crack on the screen. As far as I remember, it didn't work. Father accidentally broke it when we were sorting through things in the house after Grandma's death. Back in the early 2000s, Mom and Dad bought it for the elders, spending part of their savings. I remember us all sitting together in front of it, listening to Grandpa's swearing as he adjusted the antenna cable to get a signal. Now the TV was just a gloomy witness to past joys, silent and covered in dust. Oh, I really gotta say, the sounds are awesome. Like, it's so, immersive. Oh, it's a good soundscape. On the wall, in an ornate wooden frame, hung a photograph of Grandma Babushka Rita. Her face in the photo taken on a photokor was calm and a faint trace of fatigue. There was nothing special about this photo, except for the quiet sadness of days gone by. I looked around the room that opened before me, feeling how the house no longer felt as familiar as it once did. This was no longer the cozy summer retreat where I used to spend my time with great pleasure. Peeling walls, dust everywhere, a greasy bedspread from the perestroika era, and the smell of mold. I managed to pay for the electricity and gas in the city. There's enough food for tonight, and tomorrow I can go to the village store. After all, the house had everything needed to lay low for a while. Fomin Misk. The time was 8:31 p.m., 2 bars of signal, July 5th. Of course, a couple of missed calls from my friends. Maybe I should turn off the phone just in case, though I doubt Fomin would think to track me through my phone. Ooh, I look like a freaking main character in a villain movie. The bed, which had miraculously survived all this time, creaked. Old springs were felt beneath the thick fabric. What a dump, I thought. In my childhood memories, the house really looked better. It was alive. It's hard to imagine how my grandparents lived their whole conscious lives here. I think they would have been happier anywhere altogether. Mom said that when Grandpa died, Grandma took it really hard. Her health quickly deteriorated, and she refused to go to the hospital in the city, no matter how much Mom insisted. Less than a year after Grandpa's death, Grandma passed away. I hope they're happy together now. I need to stop thinking about sad things. It's depressing enough already. Stop ruining an already lousy mood. Maybe we should have some tea. With what herbs from the garden, The flame ignited. Looks like the gas is on. Damn, it's all such a blur. Thoughts about the bastards I'm hiding from wouldn't leave my mind. How long can I stay holed up in this dump? Like a mouse? A month? A year? And if they find me, then what? It's clear they won't listen to me. First they'll break my fingers, then toss me off a bridge into the river. Maybe they'll give me a chance to work it off, and then I'd have to slave away for them for free for who knows how long. Easy money turned into problems I don't know how to fix. In endless attempts to figure out how to cover the loss, I achieve nothing. My savings were around 90 grand, earned in my spare time. Maybe you should have done that for your main time instead of spare time. Of course, that's not enough to pay them off or replace the goods, and I don't have the right connections. The package delivery coordinates were given anonymously. The only person I know is Pasha Fomin, a recruiter in the business, and incidentally, a 2-meter tall boxer and enforcer. Oh god. Now I regret abandoning my attempt to succeed in tech repair, but back then it was a struggle to make ends meet. What about the tea? Tea? You made tea? I started to drift off to sleep. That is a waste of gas. One by one, childhood images came to mind. Oh boy. Children's laughter, bright sunlight, happiness, and no responsibility. My biggest fear back then was Grandma scolding me if I didn't come home before dark. If only I could stay in that moment, I'd never have ended up in the situation I'm in now. Unfortunately, time doesn't lie, and life moves on. That lamb was looking a bit scary there. I dreamt of the football field that was the pride of our village. Sturdy goals even with nets, just like real football players. As kids, we could play football on the field all day long. Friendships, laughter, gum, fresh air. And in the evening, Grandma waited at home with warm tea and the most delicious food in the world, made with love. That sounds nice. In the dream, a memory appeared as if it was real. One evening in midsummer, I decided to take a shortcut through the forest to Grandma's house. The local boys said you could noticeably shorten the route if you went straight through it without turning. Yeah, I don't trust the local boys. I was running late for dinner because of an overly long game of football. Oh no. Oh no. The forest surrounding our village was very dense and impenetrable. It rustled with the many voices of nature as if trying to drown out the sounds of village bustle. Grandma and Grandpa never let me wander through it, warning me I'd get lost and a wolf would take me away. I moved straight ahead, confident I was heading in the right direction. The sunlight filtered through the thick branches, casting a play of light and shadow on the ground. The forest sounds grew more eerie. I began to feel as if someone was watching me. The thicket grew denser around me, and I started to realize I'd been walking too long, even though the boys said it wasn't far. Like I said, never trust the local boys. Wandering along the forest paths and aimlessly weaving between the trees, I completely lost my way. I'm lost. Am I going to die in the forest? I thought, on the verge of tears. Straight, left, or right? Why give me the choice? This is terrible. Don't give me this choice. This right is horrible for me. I have to make a choice. God damn it. Alright, so, how about heading straight? Will that help? How about heading more straight? Keep heading straight. When in doubt, just go straight. It's gonna be okay if you can just keep going straight. Oh, that took much longer to load. The dense grove stretched endlessly. The crunch of dry leaves echoed underfoot, and the air was filled with the forest's scent. I took a deep breath, hoping to catch the scent of pine needles and fresh moss. Oh, I could not tell for a second if that was outside or in the game, the sound effect, and it was in the game, and that was so good. But a stench, seemingly coming out of nowhere, suddenly hit my nose, making me feel nauseous. That's not good. Did I stumble in on the leshy's meal time? I grimaced and held my breath, peering into the thicket. Okay, wow, you look very, 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 very leshy-like. Are you the leshy? Suddenly, a dark and terrifying hunched figure leapt out of the forest. A monster wrapped in roots-like armor materialized among the trees and stared straight at me. My heart pounding out of my chest, and a long scream escaped my mouth. Okay, wow, lots of trees. Without realizing it, I bolted with all my strength. I leapt over the obstacles, scratched myself on bushes, anything to keep from stopping. My lungs felt like they were burst, but I kept running. Run without looking back. Yeah, the T. Turn off. Ah. Sorry, I was holding that. I was holding my spine scare a bit back. Yeah. My first reaction to the dream slipped out loud. What a load of crap. I had almost forgotten about that incident. Back then, crying and scratched up, I ran home shouting, "Grandma, I saw the Banebush in the forest." After my outburst, Mom gave her a hard scolding, saying her scary tales were driving me crazy. It seems like it was after that incident I started having nightmares so often. So maybe Mom was right. Without Grandma's creepy stories, I might have been less jumpy. I long ago convinced myself that back then, my overactive imagination mistook a tree stump for a monster. I still don't know what I saw that day, but one image always remains in my memories of it. A leshy, just as Grandma described it in her tales, stood in the middle of the forest staring at me with its red eyes. It really did not have eyes, it was more like blank, hollow, dark eyes. My thoughts were interrupted by a sharp knock on the window, as if someone had thrown a stone at it. Don't look. They couldn't have tracked me, could they? Don't look. No, Foreman shouldn't even know about this place. Unless... He tracks me through my phone? No, that's just paranoia. I don't want to cut myself off completely. No, cut yourself off completely. It's a good idea. I need to check what it is. Oh, no, wrong button. I don't want to look. I don't want to...
Self-voicing
No,
disabled.
no, yeah, thank you. I haven't done that mistake in a long time. There was nothing outside the window. Just the yard, as usual, just run down. If life gets better, I'll definitely tidy this place up. My grandma and grandpa really love this place. I need to pay my respects to my departed relatives. Okay. Yeah. Throw your phone at it. Yeah, of course, that's gonna help. Where are you flying, you crazy bird? Totally lost it, scaring me like that. You lunatic. This kind of stress could send me up to an early grave. I think other people shooting you will probably send you to an earlier grave. City here, it's all a madhouse. I need to relax, pour some tea, and eat something. I cleared the table and started preparing my first dinner in the village in a really long time. Mushroom. Oh, bagels. Okay. I pulled out bagels and a couple of candies from my backpack, hastily bought at a kiosk near the train station. Oh, sorry, the bus station. I brewed myself some green tea with mint. Funny, it looked just like it did in childhood. Well, most teas look kind of similar, so, you know. Those were good times, even though last week wasn't so bad. Pushing away gloomy thoughts, I took a sip from my mug, imagining it was the same tea Grandpa used to brew for me as a child. But alas, the taste was far from the same. So much more darker. I felt a little better. I couldn't sleep peacefully without making sure another bird wouldn't fly into my window at night. Makes sense. It was already dark outside. I looked around trying to spot that crow, but there was no one in sight. The same overgrown yard and the dense forest with trees swaying gloomily in its shadows. Again, creepy, very creepy. After a long day and a warm drink, I felt sleepy. Let's dream about the leshy, because that's what's gonna happen. Tonight, I could really use a good rest. But as always, anxious thoughts crept into my mind before sleep. A coffin with my body slowly lowers into the grave. Each thud of earth on the lid sounds like a final heartbeat. I'm gone. Just cold and silence remain. My body will dissolve into this earth, decay, and become food for the worms. Mom will stand at the grave, her eyes swollen from tears, unable to believe her only son is now in this wooden box. Will she think it's a mistake, that I'll rise any moment to hug her? What will I leave behind? Everything that seemed important will turn to dust and rot with me. I will be forgotten. Everything I did, good or bad, it will all be swallowed by the earth. That looks familiar, that symbol? I don't know why. Oh, well, that's something going on outside. That's a window. Samara here? I'm not going to do anything. I'm assuming it's going to deal with it itself. As it is done in nature. Alright, I pressed spacebar. In the dead of night, something suddenly yanked me out of sleep. The village's nighttime silence was defiled by an incessant, nerve-wracking buzzing. A stubborn fly, as if choosing me as its nighttime victim, ruthlessly disturbed the peace. Persistently trying to get into the house, it seemed to be testing my patience. I mean, like a fly would be normal in a village, right? I don't want to... Oh god, that's creepy. I got up from the bed and looked out the window at the silhouettes of the dark forest swallowed by the night. The stubborn fly incessantly crawled on the glass. I stood watching the insect, feeling anxiety creep over my mind for no apparent reason. Why would I knock? Just go back to sleep. Don't test the scariness. I mean, I would... Okay, well, that is a lot of R's a lot of fly. Okay. And I wake up from the actual nightmare. Oh, never mind. I wake up to death. That's what happens. Lovely. So lovely. Lovely. I do enjoy the art of this game. The art is good. I love the monotoneness of this. Like, Tiny Bunny has that same thing. Yeah. This ancient mattress feels like it was specifically designed to destroy my back. I get it. I threw away a very old mattress. I didn't throw it away. I left it at my old, like when I was moving back here. And, yeah. Man, my back is still not great because I don't have a mattress right now. I'm basically sleeping on wood. But hey, that lumpy old mattress, those springs, terrible, terrible. As usual, I woke up drenched in a cold sweat, thanks to another stress-induced nightmare. Well, no comfort, but I'm alive. Fair trade, I guess. Outside the window, it was a gray and overcast sky. A lot of people don't like gray and overcast skies, but oh, it's a vibe. It is a vibe. To me, at least. Yeah, doesn't look like anything good will happen today, but I'm used to that. Gotta get your stretches in, everyone. Exclamation mark stretch. We haven't done an exclamation mark hydrated in a while. Corey, you should be on top of this. Come on, Corey. After stretching a bit, I decided to take a walk around this godforsaken village. I kept thinking about the local store. Hopefully it hasn't closed yet. Otherwise, I'd have to rely on my childhood survival skills and go stealing apples from abandoned lots. How simple and carefree it would be to wander around looking for dubious food, if not for my current, less than legal affairs. But who am I without them? I need to stock up on food for a couple of days and see what's going on around here. Maybe I'll run into some locals, get the news, and find out how life has changed in this corner of the world since I was last here. Alright. The early morning in this backwater is wrapped in an eerie calm, as if everything here is already dead, not just asleep. The air is fresh, as if it was just washed with fabric softener, and cold. It cuts straight into the bone. For July 6th, it was unusually cold, almost jacket weather. Still, there was something about this morning scenery that momentarily brought back a taste of life. It felt like I was 12 again. I remembered how, as kids, we'd run around here from early morning, darting between houses with the neighbor boy, under the grumbling shouts of old folks and the barking of dogs from the other yards. Take that deep breath in. The air filled my lungs, and my head even spun slightly from its freshness. The scent of grass and damp earth surrounded me. It felt pleasant. It was unusual to breathe so easily, not as usual with city dust and grime. Ooh. Walking through the quiet village, I seemed to slow down myself, adapting to its rhythm, its leisurely pace of life. The silence and calm around me unintentionally made me reflect on the past and ponder the future. I looked at the empty windows and peeling walls. People used to live here, but now everything is crumbling, as if mocking my memories. Now there was only decay and an oppressive sense that the past was irretrievably gone. I was almost at the store when my gaze caught a house to the left. Once a sweet old lady lived there, a darling granny. She always sat by her house offering us apples if we could show her where the Big Dipper was in the sky. Of course, we didn't know where the Big Dipper was and just pointed randomly at the sky. Granny didn't seem to care. She gave us apples anyway, chuckling to herself. Now her house was already leaning and completely overgrown with bushes. But the apple tree left behind the house was still standing. Maybe I should pick a couple of apples for breakfast? At least I'd save some money. Let's do it! My stomach was already growing with hunger. It was time to decide where to get food today. To the right was the store, where I figured I could grab a bite, assuming there was anything left inside. To the left was an abandoned lot with a crooked fence behind which the apple tree stood. I stopped pondering where to go. I gotta make a choice, and I will save, because I need to make a choice now. I will go with apple tree. That sounds more fun and free. The plot of the land looked abandoned up close, windows covered in murky stains, trash scattered in places, and the garden overgrown with dense thickets. It seemed no one had set foot here for years. Right in front of the fence stood an apple tree, probably the same one that the funny old lady used to pick apples for us. Despite the overall neglect of the plot, the tree looked beautiful and lush. Some branches even had something growing on them already. Well, let's just grab them, not like there's a leshy out there watching us. I stepped closer, treading carefully on the ground and glancing around furtively. The crooked fence with its rotten boards seemed to plead, "Don't touch me," but I wasn't planning to stop. On one of the upper branches, I spotted an apple, seemingly almost ripe, yellow with a slight of red blush. It's pretty high up. Hope I don't fall. But since I'm already here, there's no turning back. Actually, there is. It's just called turning back and going to the store. That's also an option, just so you know. Climb? Alright, I got to. I'll do so. Why not? I placed my foot on the edge of the fence and leaned on a board, which immediately creaked nastily but held for now. It's a wrinkly old hand. I reached out to the tree, my fingers almost brushing against the coveted apple. The fence beneath me creaked, one board already starting to wobble. Just a little more. Just a little more. Pluck. Well, why was that? Oh. Oh, wrong place. That was easy. I fell down. Realizing I couldn't reach the apple, I jumped off the crumbling fence. You have to jump upwards to grab the apple and then fall down. That would be the way. I think if I'd hesitated for even a second, I would have fallen with it. Breaking my neck over an apple is the last thing I need. I think the store will be a safer bet. Come on. Well, that was no choice at all. That was wimpy of me. Napoyakti. I stopped 5 steps away from the store, which looked almost comically like an island of nostalgia in this forgotten place. Old but sturdy, the peeling groceries sign above the door seemed inviting despite its own appearance. Okay, I know I said it wrong. I was, said that on purpose, but Grocier. What? It doesn't spell groceries, though. That's probably like a G and R together, or sort of like a CE together or something like that. The windows were intact, and though they're cloudy panes, you could see shelves and displays filled with something. The building's age didn't seem dilapidated. Instead, it gave its character, speaking of quiet confidence and resilience against time. The air around was filled with the same familiar sense of the village. For a moment, I felt like a kid again. Oh, nope, I didn't read that properly. Well, that's all you get from my videos. Half-acidness, apparently, so. You know, closed. There has to be someone in the only store in the village. Hey, anyone there? The sound of my own voice felt deafening in this silence. I kept tugging at the handle, not giving up on opening the door. Yeah, I can just magically open that. Hey! Someone called out behind me, and I flinched so hard I almost lost my balance. It's old man Makarov. Young man, why are you banging on the door? Sorry, I thought the store was still... sorry, I thought the store was still open. It is open, just no one's inside. Do you need to buy something? Yeah, I wanted to see what you've got. Well, come on, I'll show you what we've got. I haven't seen you around here. You a visitor? I nodded in agreement. What's your name? I'm Alexei. I introduced myself a bit awkwardly. Alyoshka, huh? You want anything? I gritted my teeth. I had been called Alyosha. But let's just go with Alexei. Well, Alexei. Name Stepan. Leptev Stepan Volkovich. Pleased to meet you. I shook hands with this new acquaintance who seemed to be local, though I didn't remember him at all. Well, come on, what are you standing around for? Store time. Stepan took out a bunch of keys, felt around for the right one, and calmly unlocked the store. I followed him inside and found myself in a dark room. Hold on, Alexei. Just a second. What's he filling within the dark? A light switch? Also, the store has windows. You know, you should have light inside. Looking for a sturdy stick to... I'll turn on the light. Just a moment. Oh. You from the city? Yeah, from Moscow. I muttered reluctantly. I'm not used to sharing personal details with strangers, but Moscow is so huge that this information didn't really mean anything. Oh, really? So what are the young folk in the capital up to these days? Do you have a profession at least? The question was asked with such intensity that for a moment I felt like a schoolboy being called to the principal's office. However, I decided not to dodge and answered with partial truth. Yeah, I studied to be an electrician in college. I smirked to myself. No way I'm telling him about my actual profession. Oh, an electrician. That's a useful trade. You know, my radio here recently stopped working. Maybe you could take a look at it, electrician? I can't pay for you for the repair. No money to spare these days, but I'll treat you to some tea. What a gig, I thought to myself with irony. I wasn't ready to return to my real problems just yet, so I wasn't in a hurry. And as long as I can remember, fixing various devices always came easily to me. Nothing too complicated, of course, but I could handle an old radio. I remember back when I was studying to be an electrician, I went to a couple of practical trainings out of pure curiosity. The job wasn't hard, maintenance of apartment buildings' electrical panels. Once I even found a stash that a courier colleague had seemingly hidden quite securely. I glanced at Stepan again, then shifted my gaze to the old radio sitting on the edge of the table. Why not help the old man? The radio is probably one of the very few forms of entertainment here. Alright, let me take a look. Yes, it's over there. Go ahead and take a look. You don't mind if I do? Don't mind if I do at all? Look at it. Might as well book at it. As I expected, an old radio, clearly made back in the Soviet Union. My grandparents had one like it. I think if I tried, I could probably find it somewhere in their attic. Honestly, I think fixing it shouldn't be too difficult. Let's see what we've got here. Open. Whoa. Connect the components. I can do that for sure. Okay, wow, that sure. Okay. Connect the scheme components. Okay. That goes to that goes to that can get clipped over there. Or not. This can go here. I've been playing a lot of well, not a lot. I kind of stopped, but I played a lot of that Infinity com game thing that they marketed. Oh, come on. So, oh, fudging hell. So I do know a little bit of what I is doing. So this can get capped over here. This can attach itself to that. Then that can go with, oh, fudge off. And that go, oh, come on. There you go. That should be it. Oh. Okay. Looks like it's ready. Time to test it. Turn on. Oh, look, it's working. Well, you've got golden hands, a real craftsman, I can tell. Can you? You know, this radio isn't just any ordinary one. One time there was a funny story about it. My cat back then, Vasya, little black devil he was, and I closed the store and sat down to dinner. Well, sort of. I sat down at the table and gave the cat some soup in his bowl. I turned on the radio and they're talking about some kind of dance music. I heard the Vasya start meowing, and suddenly, as the music starts playing, he gets up and starts dancing on his hind legs.
Sounds like the devil's work to me.
I laughed so hard. Later I tried playing music for him again, but he just gave me a lazy look and went to sleep. Stepan looked at me as if he was gauging my reaction to his story. But I was just sitting there, confused. Thank you, Alexei. We won't die of boredom now, that's for sure. It's nothing. I gave a crooked smile and spread my hands. Well, as promised, let's go. I'll pour you some tea. You tell me how city folk live these days. They live pretty rambunctiously, if I do say so myself, sir. I hadn't eaten anything since morning. The old man seemed nice enough. I figured I wouldn't say no to some tea. I nodded in agreement. Well, that's wonderful. Let's go. The door's the other way, though. The door was the other way. Okay. For some reason, the lo-fi music really suits this part. Walking behind Stepan into another room, I couldn't shake the intrusive image of a cat dancing on its hind legs. Oh, yeah, that's... That sure is happening. That's a pig. How did you look at the pig? Boar taxidermy. A boar's stuffed head on the wall. I never understood how anyone could like that. It looks silly with those bulging eyes and exposed tusks. It's clear no one has touched it for years. So much dust. The tools hang in a neat row, looking more like decorations. It's obvious some haven't been used in ages. The rust and dust speak for themselves. Stepan probably used it to do a lot of handiwork back in the day. And now we don't. Bottle with murky liquid, now that's suspicious. Is that moonshine? I thought. It looked like regular village hooch, but with the added bonus of a couple of flies floating inside. Just looking at the bottle made me queasy. Stepan probably forgot about it ages ago. Apparently. An old photo in a crooked frame. Clearly not hung yesterday. Who is she? Probably Stefan's mother or wife. She looked as stern as my college instructor. I cautiously surveyed the storage room of the shop. The air was thick with the musty scent of wood, sweet mold, and some kind of pickled goods. Stepan, visibly excited by the unexpected company, set about brewing tea. It seems like an interrogation for some reason, I don't know why. Pretty investigatory. Stepan sat at the table. He looked at me, barely holding back the questions that were about to burst out of him. It was clear that the old man didn't often have guests and was genuinely happy to chat with me. That's nice. Oh. So how do you like it here? Not many folks from the city wander this way. I noticed how Stepan tried to hide his awkward excitement behind his smile. I smiled back, deciding to keep the conversation going. Yeah, it's really different here. Quiet. Homely. Cows, goats. I listed the first things that came to mind. Cows and goats, that's what I find homely. You rarely see those kind of things in the city. Stepan nodded, lost in thought, still holding his cup. So what brings you here? I paused to think about how to answer him. Obviously, I couldn't tell him I was hiding here from some shady characters. He might report me to the cops. I could just say I came to my grandparents' house. Or make something up, like I'm here to buy a house. I will be honest, because honesty will net me more friendship and power amongst the people. So I may rise from the oppression and become the king of all the redness. I'm here to tidy up my grandparents' house. Which ones? Stepan seemed to ponder, sifting through memories of the remaining elders in this backwater. I decided not to make him guess. They're not here anymore. With us. Margarita and Nikolai Pavlov. Oh, I see. So you're Rita and Kolya's grandson. Ah, they were wonderful people. I can still picture them in their youth. Young folk always flock to these cities, but here in the village, it has its own charms. Rita and Kolya understood that better than anyone. Back in the day, we were really close friends with them. In winter, we sled like crazy, and in spring, some in the garden, others in the field from morning till night. And when summer came, everyone relaxed the body and soul. Russian banya, fishing, all sorts of summer celebrations. Man, every time I look at the pig, the boar, it looks like it's smiling even harder. That's creepy, dude, creepy. Stepan paused and gave me a piercing look, as if trying to see if I understood what he was talking about. By the way, today is going to be one of the most important ones. Important ones? Why do you mean important ones? What could it possibly be? The night of July 6th to 7th is Ivan Kupala night, if you didn't know. We loved that holiday when we were young. The soul, as they say, longed for song. We'd jump over the bonfire and tell all sorts of spooky tales. They said that on Kupala's night, devils crawled out of their holes. Wait, I'm recording this on July 5th. Holy crap! Coincidence? I think not. I don't think it is. Ooh. I'll publish this on the 6th. Or, between 6th and 7th then. Just for the funs of it. It's gonna be great. It's on the time. Here we go. In our village, people always believed in all sorts of devilry. They were old believers. They were so scared you couldn't drag them into the woods by their arms and legs on Kupala night. So anyway, I remember one of those nights the whole village was out celebrating again. The guys were singing songs and lighting fires, while the girls were usually doing fortune telling. They'd put flower crowns on their heads and run to the riverbank. They'd let the crowns float on the water to learn their fate. Wherever it drifted, that's where their groom would come from. If it washed ashore, no wedding that year. Well, that's all just folklore, of course. Your granny Ritka sent her crown down to the river too. And can you believe it? Oh, there's a crown. Huh. It floated a little, then shot forward like Kupala himself was steering it. And right there on the other side was Kolyan. The girl started giggling right away, and Kolyan, clueless as ever, just barely managed to catch Ritka as she jumped into his arms. That summer, your grandma and grandpa got married. Yeah, they were good people. Well, never mind. I love the sounds in this game. It's so good. It's just so enthralling. It's so invictive, you know? Stefan's words hung in silence. Even the wind outside seemed to go quiet. The story about my grandma and grandpa, simple, yet so vivid, really struck me. I'd seen them in old photos, younger, happier than I remembered. Were they really like that, jumping over bonfires, weaving flower crowns? I suddenly felt a strange bitterness, realizing how little I actually knew about them. What would they say about me now? The thought planted itself deep, but I quickly brushed it aside to avoid diving further. Stefan let out a heavy sigh and continued. You know, Alexei, in our village, sometimes it's like a fairy tale, I'd say. Okay. I'm gonna pretend like that didn't happen. That didn't happen, alright, everyone? Yeah. But not always the kind with a happy ending. So you better be careful out there. I tense up, raising an eyebrow, not hiding my surprise. What do you mean? Well, you see. Don't play that to black, I don't want to know. I'm gonna die, that's what I will do. Sorry, it's just stretching my back. Everyone, do a stretch right now. If you're watching right now, do a stretch immediately, please. Thank you. A couple of years back, a family moved here from Moscow. They said they were looking for peace, quiet, tranquility. Let me guess, they were found in pieces, very quiet and quite tranquil. So they arrived with 2 young sons in tow. And those rascals found no better pastime than to turn the whole village upside down. Every night their revelry made a racket like a festival. But there was no joy in it. We tried talking to them nicely, you know, but they couldn't care less. So anyway, one Kupala night, they decided to have their own kind of fun. They dragged some girl from a neighboring village and headed to the river through the forest, where even the locals hesitate to tread during the day. I don't like the sounds of what's gonna happen now. They probably thought they'd find magic in our forests or whatever you city folk are here are after. Night passed, and by morning, they were nowhere to be found. The police searched the whole forest with dogs, but only found the girl by nightfall. They said she was scared to death, couldn't speak, but just muttered and babbled incoherently. As for the boys, all that was left were a couple of bloodied scraps of clothing. It was like the earth had swallowed them whole. The district officer told me back then that those punks probably got the girl drunk and wanted to violate her. They dragged her into the forest, but no one could figure out what happened to them after that. They tried questioning the girl, but she couldn't say anything. Then, or later, her eyes kept darting around and she was just mumbling something endlessly. So they couldn't figure out anything back then. The investigation concluded later that apparently some forest beasts had mauled them. And to calm the villagers, they made our forester Petrovich set up traps in the forest to keep the beasts away from the homes. I listened to Stefan's story with some tension. This was nothing like my grandmother's fairy tales, but somewhere deep in my subconscious the image of Banebush emerged, and my imagination instinctively tied the events to him. Just an old man standing in the woods, don't mind him. After all, encountering him in the forest years ago had convinced me that some fairy tales don't lie. Or maybe some do, you never know. I brushed the thought aside and asked the first question that popped into my head. Maybe the leshy took them? Maybe the leshy took them. Or maybe it was the beasts. That's for each person to decide. What to believe and what to think. And the investigation will decide for itself what to write in the report. I think I've heard enough local tales for wrong voice. I think I've heard enough local tales for today. I really need to focus on figuring out how to solve my own problems. Time to head home. Stepan Wolfovich. Thanks for the tea and the talk. I should get going. I want to tidy up the house. Yes, of course, go ahead. Thanks again for fixing the radio. If you need anything, feel free to drop by. Was I not gonna buy stuff? Here, take some bagels. We'll have them with tea, my treat. Thank you. Love me some good old bagels. I did not know bagels were popular in the Slavic regions. Without much thought, I grabbed the bag of bagels from the table. I didn't want to refuse and disappoint the old man. Besides, I originally came here for food. Thank you. Goodbye. Stepan kept beaming his trademark smile. I smiled back at him and stepped outside. I'm going now. Bye-bye. That's fucking creepy. It also looks like there's like multiple black cats inside his house because of all the red dots. What's up, Vasca? Had your fill of roaming? Well, come on in. What are you standing there for? Well, the very red eyes would not go away. Well, that was quite the trip for some bread. I slightly scolded myself for spending the whole day listening to this strange old man's stories instead of tackling my real problems. The stories were interesting, but I had to return to my grim reality. As I approached my new home, I was already anticipating flopping onto the creaky prehistoric bed with a contented look on my face. But it seemed fate had other plans. Oh no. What's with the big boom? Is it a corpse husband video? Or, well, song? In front of my house stood an old Lada 2108. And I could make out three familiar faces inside. Shit. It was Pasha Fomin and his goons, Vasya, and the third one. Can't remember his name. Lovely. Awesome. Great. Cool. Oh, lovely. Well. Hello there, villager. Hey. I replied, trying to hide my tension. I'm so screwed. So, what the hell are you doing here, Alyosha? You know how much of a hassle it was to drag ourselves out to this backwater. How the hell did you even find me? Shut your fucking mouth and listen. If you'd worked longer and honestly, maybe you'd have thought to shove your work SIM card somewhere safe. And didn't use it near the house registered to you. So, we promote you and send you on a big job, and this is how you thank us, running off with our stuff. You know exactly what happens to smartasses like that. Foma, I had nothing to do with this. While I was transporting the stuff, some guys cut me off in a car and robbed me at gunpoint. Took all your shit. What the fuck? You seriously think I'm that stupid? Foma, I've always done my jobs honestly. This looks like a setup to me. Maybe you sent those bastards yourselves and now are trying to screw me over. Oh yeah, of course saying that. Are you fucking kidding me? What are you questioning right now? You think it's hard for me to kill you and bury you in this backwater? No one's ever gonna find you here, you dumbass. I'm not trying to act tough, Onan. Calm down. How am I supposed to get you this stuff I don't have? I don't give a damn, you bitch. Do whatever you want. Give birth or shit it out. The situation was escalating. I clenched my jaw, feeling my racing pulse pounding in my temples. Fight back or stay silent. Ooh. Will the leshy help me? Oh, I only have... Oh, never mind. I thought I had more saves, and I did. I will die if I fight back, so I might as well stay silent, right? I want this stuff in my hands by morning. Try to run, but you won't be able to walk anymore. Well, except to piss and shit yourself. Got it, Alyosha? Got it. Naturally. The sound of the departing car's engine started the countdown. Back to the creepy house with bagels! Let's go. Bastards. Great hiding spot, Alyosha. I sarcastically praised myself. Now what? What if I sell the house and use the money to buy drugs to replace the lost shipment? No, selling the house is a hassle. Finding a buyer would take forever, and at best, I get 100 grand out of it. Seems like a lot of money, though. Running isn't an option. They'll find me again, and then I'm really screwed. Throw the work sim away? I mean, not a big brainer here. Shit, what the fuck do I do now? In despair, I grabbed my head. I wanted to tear out my hair, scream, break something, but none of that would help. The helplessness was driving me insane. Babush, guys here, don't worry. If the world turns its back on you, you go to the forest. There you'll find either salvation or death. The forest is honest. I suddenly remembered my grandmother's words as clearly as if her voice were speaking right next to me. Oh boy. What if Grandma was right? What if there's really something out there? I saw it in that forest as a kid, I remember. If Banebush is really there, he'll either kill me outright or help me. If I'm screwed anyways, what difference does it make? There was always something strange about this place. The old folks' stories, the vanished people, the whispers in the forest. I looked out the window. The forest is honest. I kept repeating to myself, staring at the dark grove. Going there was madness, yes, but at least I'd have some kind of chance. There's no other way.
Sound like a madman to me, honestly.
I was getting into gambling or stocks real quick, you know? A few minutes into the journey, and the trees closed in around me as if blocking my path. Stepping forward was terrifying, but staying still was even worse. To the forest, the dark and scary, shaky forest. Let's go inside, because that's some stupid. Chapter 3. Well, time for the boy who turned into a wolf to eat me. Clouds, almost completely hidden by the dense canopy of trees, hovered over the endless forest expanses. Moss soaked with moisture spread underfoot like a soft carpet, muffling the sound of footsteps. The air, rich with the scent of soil and decaying leaves, was damp and heavy, settling in my lungs and clouding my mind. The whispers of leaves The occasional snap of twigs underfoot and the distant cries of birds created the illusion of another dimension. You know, maybe it is another dimension, who knows? Here, I felt like an insignificant human, an uninvited guest. I mean, that is true, though. Thoughts about my past life slowly filled my mind. The endless struggle for money in a quiet corner of the metropolis, where each new day brought new challenges. The life of a dealer, full of fear and the constant threat of disaster, poisoned the soul, exposing its flaws. I didn't even notice how I became a paranoid person who, on any ordinary evening, expected someone to break into my house. My imagination painted the faces of people whose lives were poisoned by my dealings, their eyes filled with desperate bitterness. Here, in the depths of the forest, all my past felt like a burden, dragging me to the ground. To the realization that I had dug my own grave. It's unfair. Why do I have to seek salvation now among the trees and the darkness? What will the Banebush do if I find him? If the stories are true, he wasn't entirely merciless. After all, he didn't kill the girl from Stepan's story, who naively trusted the thugs from the capital. Maybe the Banebush only helped the innocent? If that's the case, I'm screwed. I chuckled. Yeah, I was just about to say I sound like I'm innocent. Thoughts about the Banebush and his possible protection no longer brought comfort. They only plunged me into new terror. What if he's not an ally at all, but another threat far scarier than city gangsters? What if I just die here? I don't even know what's worse, surrendering to the cops or venturing into the forest at night to find the leshy. What a fucking mess. Yeah, big fudge of a mess, isn't it? I ventured deeper into the forest, which had already turned into a trap. I felt like I was in the jaws of a giant rabid dog, which were gradually closing, leaving less and less space to breathe. Every rustle, every creak of a branch made my heart skip a beat further. Beat in fear, if I can read. I remember again how my grandmother, sitting by the stove, would quietly tell me her stories. Remember, Lyosha, the forest always watches, she would say, looking straight into my eyes. It knows all your thoughts, senses fear from a mile away. It feeds on it. Now her words echoed in my head like a warning. That's great, grandmother. Would have loved that advice sooner. Having lost track of time and distance traveled, I tried to suppress the fear within. Suddenly, a deep silence of the forest was pierced by a plaintive howl. I froze. My heart began pounding twice as hard, threatening to burst out of my chest. Holding my breath, I tried to pinpoint where the sorrowful sound was coming from. The howl came again, more insistent this time, as if beckoning me. My heart pounded louder in my chest. An inner voice insistently whispered, "Wandering aimlessly through the forest won't get me anywhere." Obeying the call, I started moving, slowly drawing closer to the source of the sound with each step. Oh boy. Ooh, it's a wolf in a trap. Well, oh no. I pushed through the thicket and emerged onto a clearing, bathed in pale moonlight. And there, in the moonlight, quivered the figure of a large black wolf. A trap had sunk deeply and mercilessly on one of its paws. Whimpering in pain and trembling in a hunched position, the wolf no longer tried to free itself. Its gaze was filled with suffering, pierced me. The animal seemed to hope for my help. Well, what a quest, I thought. Yeah. I stood frozen, unable to steady the trembling in my hands, as my emotions feverishly jumped from pity to fear. Gathering the remnants of my composure, I approached the wolf. Oh, woo! Oh, woo, 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 woo. Oh, wow. You know what? I might as well die. Real quick, you know? A real quick, merciless. Oh. The beast greeted me with a weak growl full of pain and warning. Fear gripped me tightly, paralyzing my movements, but I gathered the last shreds of courage and decided to act. Alright, opening this trap barehanded isn't going to work. Good thing I kept the knife with me after all. Ooh. Oh, no, 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 don't screw me over this time. Oh, no. My sweat-drenched hands barely held onto the knife as it slipped off the trap's mechanism. The wolf jerked its paw and snapped its teeth and recoiled, barely maintaining my balance. The wolf's eyes looked at me with a mix of pain and human-like understanding, sending a chill down my spine. I need to pull myself together and try again. Okay. There you go. I did it! Oh, fuck. Fucking wolf. Why the hell did I even approach it? I ran, feeling like prey being hunted by a predator. The last time I ran like this was a kid in the same forest fleeing Banebush. I leapt over roots, scrapped myself on the bushes, and caught dry branches across my face. I didn't know if the wolf was chasing me, but I didn't even think of stopping to check. It seemed I dropped the knife near the trap in fear, and if I encounter the rabid wolf, I'll be unarmed. Oh no! Fuck! At full speed, I ran into a clearing, and barely caught my breath when a tall, twisted figure appeared among the trees. I froze in another wave of terror, praying that the wolf had fallen behind and wouldn't sink its teeth into my back. There wasn't a single sound around, only my heart pounding with all its strength. A creature resembling a twisted human watched me, extending a hand in my direction. My sanity slipped further away, singing along with my courage. For a while, I watched the silhouette that had frightened me, but it remained motionless. I slowly moved a bit closer. Well, it's the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Notre Dame. Stay calm. When I finally dared to approach, it became clear. It was just a tree stump. A nervous chuckle escaped my chest, futilely attempting to shake off the tension. I looked closer at the unnaturally twisted tree trunk. On one of the branches resembling an outstretched arm hung a fly. A fly agaric mushroom. Its crimson hue reminded me of a cigarette ember glowing in the dark. A question echoed in my mind. How could it possibly end up on the branch? As if someone had hung it there just for me. Yeah, the forest seemed especially full of hints today. Yeah. Am I supposed to eat it? Unexpectedly for myself, I shouted out loud. My voice echoed through the forest and faded away without receiving an answer. Generally, don't eat the big, bright mushrooms. Eat it or no? I don't know. I want to say, but I'm not gonna find out. Why would I find out? Well, I don't know. I guess I'll eat it. Why not? I'm stupid. Anyways. Ugh. That for sure looks like a hand. Yeah, I now want to see Banebush because I'm on shrooms. Yeah. Ugh. So wobbly. The bitterness of the fly agaric slid down my throat, its pulp reaching the walls of my stomach. The taste of earth and a bittersweet slice of the forest filled my insides. My consciousness slowly dissolved, and the images of trees blurred before my eyes. Oh, wow. I wandered aimlessly through the forest, feeling each step reverberate as a pulse in my skull. The tree canopies closed above my head, their rustling growing louder and merging into a swarm of unnatural, oppressive sounds. The ground beneath my feet felt soft and damp like living flesh, while roots writhed trying to entangle my legs. Yay! Someone yelled at me from the darkness, forcing me to stop abruptly. My head spun so much that I didn't realize when I had already turned towards the sound. Oh. Behind the trees, familiar figures began to emerge, baring their teeth predatorily at me as if I were prey. You guys are moving around a lot. What the fuck, rat? Trying to lay low in the woods? I'll grind you to the dirt with this whole forest. We'll tear you apart and fertilize the ground with your guts. Got it? Nah, we'll slice you up so every beast in the forest gets a piece. Sure, buddies. And you'll howl like a beaten mutt. Banebush, now's the time you enter. I heard their voices, vile and hoarse, creeping through the thicket. Each sound turned into a burning ember, painfully melting my brain. These creatures weren't human. I hated them to the point of trembling, to the icy venom coursing through my veins. Yeah. Fucking bastards! Oh, and I'm running again. I screamed and broke into a run, zigzagging between the trees. I just stopped seeing their faces. With the power of shrooms, I become a sane bolt. I ran for a long time, and my lungs started burning from within, slow to a walk. The feeling of an alien presence didn't go away. The shadows of the trees moved in sync with my steps, and I felt deep within that someone or something was always watching me from the depths of the thicket. Peering into the darkness, I saw my grandmother. You did? Okay, she is not she does not look like she looks like she had a lot of fun. I will say that. I wanted to rush forward and hug her, but her face, distorted in a horrifying way, suddenly spoke in a quiet, raspy voice. Once a cowardly boy decided to run away from his troubles, he ventured into the depths of the forest to seek out the leshy and ask for help. That night, inhuman screams could be heard from the other sides of the forest. And what happened to him, Grandma? Oh, just listen. The leshy store. So they tore that bitch apart while he was still wheezing, and the wolves were feasting on whatever fell to the ground. You're a bit terrifying, Grandma. Grandma's scary. Grandma's so scary. I wandered recklessly through the dark thicket, sometimes walking, sometimes breaking into a run, without regard for the path. I was lost in time and space. My consciousness was being crushed from within, and my legs trembled so much I could barely move them. The sounds of the forest merged into a quiet whisper, creating a single vibration. Suddenly, from all sides, a heavy, creaky voice sounded. Why did you come to me? Help! They want to kill me! My plea sounded pathetic. My voice trembled, and my breath came in ragged gasps. The forest was silent. Everything around grew quiet, except for the occasional drops of dew falling from the branches to the ground. These were the tears of other losers who had come here like me and couldn't make it back. That's a fun way to describe that, actually. That's sorry, just like from a writing point of view, that was a good description. The voice crackled again. Oh, you're not the first to come to me. Yeah. Many have sought salvation among my trees. Did they find it? My words dissolved into the air, and the forest only listened intently, in no hurry to answer. It is alive. The wind was its breath, and its heart beat to the rhythm of a woodpecker's strikes. Its roots intertwined as veins, and millions of worms streamed as the blood beneath the earth. I see you there. You've gone where neither your feet nor your soul should venture.
Yeah, but maybe it should.
Your blood soaks into the roots more easily than rain. What kind of rain do you get here? The forest answers me with a rustle that sounded like laughter. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. Oh, I see you there. No one leaves here in one piece. Something wet on my microphone. I'm just rubbing that away. What are you talking about? What do you want? I want your bitches. Oh wow, you are much different than the leshy I was that I've been looking at. Standing before me was not the monster I had expected to see. He resembled an old man with a thin, twisted body like dry roots, and his skin was cracked like wood scorched by lightning. His eyes burnt with a crimson fire, like embers in a dying campfire. His clothing was nothing more than rotting rags, except for a tattered red polka dot scarf on his arm. A black hollow gaped in his head, resembling the rotted cavity of a tree, oozing thick and dark sludge. It dripped onto the ground, its stench so overpowering that it took my breath away. Damn, I'm falling for an old man in a forest. You know, I would rather go with Babushka than with you, just saying. My stomach climbed towards my throat. The air around me filled with the stench of decay, and it became hard even to swallow. Yeah, I stood rooted to the spot, jaw slack, staring at the leshy until his voice jolted me awake. The eye. What? Your eye, worm. A vile soul, but a sharp eye. It's called anxiety. I'm sure you can get that. If you found me. When it dawned on me what he meant, my legs buckled and my vision darkened. Nausea rose to my throat and I barely held back the urge to vomit. Maybe you need something else? I whimpered the question in a pathetic attempt to bargain with the ancient forest spirit. I wanted to bolt and run, but my legs seemed rooted to the ground, leaving me unable to move. An eye or your life. Choose. My life? My eyes are too cool. You're too sharp, you said. Pay or refuse? Fascinating. What if I pay? What happens if I pay? Let's see. My hands jerked towards my face. The will to live tore me apart, screaming like a wounded animal, drowning out even the terror of what was about to happen. I could already feel his sharp, thorn-like fingers digging into my eye sockets. I wanted to scream, to beg, a god I had never believed in, but the words stuck in my throat. All that remained was trembling and an all-consuming horror coursing through my veins. My mind simply refused to believe what was happening, but I had already made my choice. I stood there, unable to make a sound, and silently nodded in agreement, until fear snapped me back. Oh, wow. The pain was unbearable. The world around me exploded in red light. It felt as if a red-hot hook was driven into my eye socket and started pulling. I heard a squelching sound, like when something wet is torn away from something sticky. I felt nerves and veins tearing. the pulsating eyeball being wrenched from my skull. Warm streams of blood ran down my cheek, filling my nose and mouth, choking me with its metallic and nauseating taste. Through the veil of pain, I heard the screams of the creatures that brought me here. Their gut-wrenching cries steeped in primal terror pierced the forest. One of them screamed as if being torn apart from within. His voice broke into a rasp, replaced by a gurgle, wet sound, as though his lungs had turned to a bloody pulp. Someone squealed like a pig at the slaughter, interrupted by the crunch of bones and tearing flesh. I lay there, listening to the leshy tear these bastards apart, their lives fading, one by one. At first, I wanted to cover my ears, but then I couldn't. I enjoyed hearing it. My lips stretched into a smile on their own, and my chest felt empty and light. I laughed loudly. 3 weeks later. Nice. Enter. How can I see? Look. I can't kind of without eyes. Ministry of Affairs of Russian Federation. Case number 0707. Criminal case. Fugitive Committee of the Russian Federation. Investigator Justice Captain Ivanov Pyotr Sergeyevich. Defendants Smirnov Alexei Tikhonovich. Article 105 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation. Murder of 2 or more persons. Incident report at 2:30 p.m. following a report from a resident of Volk. Leptev Stepan Volkovich. A patrol team arrived at the accident in the forested area. The bodies 3 individuals discovered showing signs of violent death. Vasily Alexov, something 1990, Pavelev, born 1985, and Mikhail, born 1988, all deceased and exhibited multiple stab wounds. At some distance from the crime scene, Alexei Tikhonovich Smirnov was found unconscious with a severe injury, his eye missing. According to an initial medical examination, Smirnov was under the influence of hallucinogenic mushrooms. A thorough examination of the crime scene was conducted, including photographing, fingerprint collection. X-rays result. It was determined that all victims died as a result of multiple stab wounds inflicted by sharp objects, presumably wooden stakes, between 4 and 9 a.m. on July 7th. Fingerprints belonging to Smirnov was found on the bodies. Persons belonged to the deceased at the crime scene. Blood traces leading from the victims' bodies to the location where Smirnov was discovered match his blood type. A suspected murder weapon in the form of a sharpened fragment. Psychiatric evaluation. A forensic psychiatric evaluation determined that Smirnov Alexei Tikhonovich was legally insane at the time of the crime. Based on the collected evidence, witness statements, the defendant's confession, and the results of the psychiatric evaluation, Smirnov Alexei Tikhonovich is to be committed to compulsory treatment in psychiatric prisons. That's it? That's the end? No insane Banebush for me? Huh. Interesting. Endings gallery. There are 6 endings? Fascinating. Really fascinating. Like I've said throughout the video, I think this was an awesome visual novel. I love the music. I think in a visual novel, there's 2 main things. 3 main things. The visuals, the story, and the sound. And sound is a big part of it as well. Story is too. And I think it's very interesting how this is presented. And I really like Slavic, Russian, Finnish, all of those sides as lore. They're all so cruel, so dark, so drab, and just dry, and it's just so invoking of just so many feelings. And this was like that too. It was just the scenes were just so monotone, and they were just so in line with the emotions presented and all of that. And yeah, that's one of the endings. If you want me to get more of the endings, let me know. Like this video. If it gets about 25 likes, I will play it again and get the other endings. It'll be interesting. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you everyone so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. And goodbye.